You know, Women in Red is a great event for our community. It used to be just a luncheon before, but that changed a few years ago. And now, look at it. We got 500 people here in this room tonight. That is so impressive. It's a real honor for me, your county commissioner, to be here speaking before you tonight. While I would love to talk about all the good things that we're doing at the county level, the topic I want to talk about is you. You see, it's a big deal that you're out here tonight, and an even bigger deal for our community. I will tell you why that is, but before I do, I'd like to share with you my story, because I know so many of you here tonight can relate to it in one way or another. And it's important you know that you are not alone, that there are a lot more people who are like us than we often think. I can only imagine how lonely Riley Gaines felt at first about her situation. That was until she spoke up, and a tidal wave of support came out for her. Not only is it a culture war that we're fighting, it's a war to save our republic, our state, and our communities. We all know at the national level, we're watching some pretty uncomfortable things happening. If it continues unabated, I fear that we were going to be going into very dark times. As many of you know, our politicians are allowing our own borders to be overrun by millions of migrants. This will have consequences in this country, and it'll have consequences here eventually. The courts just ruled that the Biden administration violated the First Amendment by forcing and coercing social media and other organizations to ban speech, block opinion, and censor information. They no longer have boundaries. We know they fear our Second Amendment. The ATF is becoming much more aggressive towards citizens and gun dealers. Fortunately, Americans recognize that something is wrong and are purchasing millions and millions of guns. In fact, more than 1 million guns have been sold per month for the last 49 consecutive months. 2 million alone last month. We know that our government can easily bypass our Fourth Amendment rights by paying big tech to have access to incredible amounts of information about you without ever establishing probability of a crime. And of course, we're watching the political persecution and prosecution of political opponents, including our former president, Donald Trump. Even Jenna Ellis, an attorney in his administration, and who spoke here in 2019 at this Women in Red event during a luncheon, has been indicted on racketeering charges by what is arguably one of the most corrupt prosecutors in this country. It was Lavrentiy Beria. Anyone know that name? Lavrentiy Beria. He was the head of Joseph Stalin's secret police, and he famously said, "Show me the man, and I will show you the crime." We're seeing more and more of this kind of corruption throughout our great country. It's troubling. Meanwhile, millions of dollars flow into the Biden's bank accounts from foreign entities. And, well, nothing to see here, folks. This is what tyranny looks like. When the law is used as a weapon against one group of people and applied differently to another, that is tyranny. Folks, we cannot ignore the 800-pound gorilla in the room anymore. And I don't see how we can fix this starting at the top. To me, the only way we're ever going to save this country is from the ground up. We need to take control locally and work our way up. I never shared this story publicly before, but hey, let's do it tonight. It was back in 2014, a few months after we moved here. This was the very first political event I ever attended. Now, growing up in Washington, D.C., you would think I'm naturally political, but I really wasn't that much. But I saw what was happening in this country, and that's part of the reason I wanted to relocate to a much more conservative, much more gun-friendly part of the country. And so a dear friend of ours, Deb Vernon, who's in the audience tonight with her husband, Jerry, invited my wife and I to hear the sheriff at that time speak. I was not impressed. He was bragging about the mission statement that his office created. And nowhere in that mission statement did it mention protecting citizens' rights. It truly bothered me at that time. So in 2019, while he was nearing the end of his last term, I researched the upcoming candidates. It became very clear to me that there was only one candidate who would be the right sheriff during these challenging times. I approached him toward the beginning of his campaign and offered to do everything I could to help get him over the finish line. And it was not an easy campaign. That person was Bob Norris. I've said to him during the campaign, and I will say it again and again, he has the capacity to be one of the best sheriffs, if not the best sheriff this county has ever had. And he's proving me right every day. Bob, thank you. Thank you for stepping up to the plate. Now, I have to be honest. He's not going to be the best sheriff because he does a fantastic job leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Although, if I were a judge, I would give you a 9.8 out of 10. Bob, just a little better, you'll get that 10. But seriously, the reason he's the right person is because he genuinely cares about this community. He cares about you. He cares about keeping the bad guy off the streets. And most important, he cares about protecting your rights, especially your gun rights. We need more people like him in office. After Bob got elected, I was troubled to discover that we were underfunding our law enforcement, and it was creating a lot of vacancy issues. See, to me, underfunding is no different than defunding. And so that's why I decided to run for county commissioner. And since then, I'm pleased to tell you that as your county commissioner, we have fixed that problem. And many high-performing deputies that we lost, people that we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with your money to train, are now considering to come back. I think we just got one right back, too. You know? That's your money that the county loses on training. And so you may be asking how all of this ties into you tonight, being here. It's so simple. It all started for me by just attending a single Republican women event, which was that luncheon back in 2014. And so I'm asking you to not let it end here tonight, but rather make it the beginning. Make attending this Republican women event the beginning of your contributions toward an even better community. We can use so much more help. Please join us in the fight, please. Along with Republican women, there's another group in particular you should know about and who make a big difference in this community. It's our local Republican Central Committee. This is the official party in Kootenai County. Few people realize that it's comprised of precinct captains who are elected by you, the people in this community. The official Republican Central Committee is the group that's vetting and helping to elect solid conservatives. In fact, they are doing so well that other counties in Idaho and other states, Washington, California, are following their lead. So if you're not familiar with them or you're not involved, please consider getting involved with that group. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize and thank the chairman. He puts an immense amount of time throughout the state, and he takes a lot of heat to help get good conservative candidates elected. To me, his efforts exemplify the kind of courage we need right now, everywhere in this country. Chairman Regan, thank you. Thank you so much. So, I ask you to make this the first day of the rest of your life getting involved to preserve our community, our state, and our republic, if we can even save it. We must at least try. We must try or risk living the balance of our lives burdened with the guilt of knowing we could have done more. We could have done more when we had the chance, but didn't. So if you're not a member, please don't leave here tonight without joining Republican Women. On every table is a trifold brochure, okay? Pick that brochure up, and there's a QR code underneath a very handsome man. Scan that code, okay? And join right now. Do it now. Do it now while you're thinking about it. Republican Women is a great group to make new friends, hang out with like-minded people, stay informed, get to know your local elected officials. And by the way, and this will affect about half of you in the room here, it's also open to the guys. I attend. So join Republican Women tonight and let it be one of the many investments you make in your community. From this day forward, if we do it right, if we do this right, we can fulfill our legacy and end this story with happily ever after for our kids and our grandkids. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out tonight, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.